You ladies are live.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Are we live? This is scary. Okay.
Hi, YouTube. Hi, Instagram. Hi,
Hi,
Facebook.
Hello. We are streaming live from Spodcastle Cinemas in Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey. I'm Melissa Braun, a casting director who has been with Grant Wolfley Casting for about 20 years. I'm also a New Jersey native. We're here to talk about background work, also known as extra work, as we are working on a feature film set to start shooting in Middletown, New Jersey next month. I'm going to have each of my panel people represent themselves.
Hi, I'm Nikita. I'm also a casting director here at Grant Wolfley Casting. I've been here for almost 9 years now. And I'm also a New Jersey native, born and raised here and still living here. And I'm excited to be here to talk about a movie that's going to be filming here.
Hi, I'm Belle. I'm a casting director at Grant Wolfley Casting. I've been here for about almost 9 years. And yeah.
Hi, everybody. I am Ayana Callens. I've been with Grant Wolfley for a year now. I'm a casting assistant. I'll also be a casting assistant on this movie. And I have prior experience within the accounting department in the industry, so I used to pay background actors, process their vouchers. And we'll talk more about that later on.
Ayana paid them personally out of her pocket.
Yes, I gave them a check.
So like what Melissa said, what we're here to talk about is not only the movie that's filming in Monmouth County, but also just what background work is like in general, what to expect for the whole process from submissions all the way through getting paid, like Ayana said. So the first big question is just kind of like, what is background? You may also know background roles as extra roles. They're the extras that you see on film and TV. And basically what that is just any non-speaking role in a movie or in a TV show. And it can be in very different types of scenes. You can be in a scene by yourself as a featured background who is maybe reacting to something or doing a specific action, or you could be in a group of hundreds of people for a busy New York City street scene, or it can be anything in between. Even though background don't speak, they are actually still super important to a production and to creating the atmosphere for a scene, for a movie. For example, a busy New York City street. It would look pretty silly if, you just had principal actors on a completely empty street without background there to sort of set the vibe, set the scene. And the same goes for period projects. If you're shooting something that's set in the 1970s, the background there, having the right 1970s hairstyles, the right 1970s wardrobe, all of that really helps you transport into that era for the show or the movie that you're watching. Also, because of that, background actors are super important to a production, and we expect all of our background actors that we hire to be professional on set because it's like any professional job. We expect everyone to be there on time, bringing the things that they're supposed to bring, paying attention to all of the instructions that are giving on set, not just, walking away in the middle of a scene or anything like that. And, just being there at call all the way until filming is complete for the day. That being said, though, anyone can do background work. You don't need to have any sort of acting experience. You don't need to have any industry experience. It's just anyone who's, ready to be on screen. And we actually have, we'll break it down. It's sort of like we have two different types of background performers. We have people who are union members of the Screen Actors Guild, which is also called SAG-AFTRA. That's the labor union that represents television, film, and radio actors. And all of the projects that Grant Wolfley is casting will be signatory with that union, which all it means is that we do employ SAG members as background on those shows. And we have a certain minimum number of union members that we have to hire before we can start hiring non-SAG actors, which is our second type of actor. It's just someone who is not a member of that union. But if you are interested in joining that union, and if that is the goal for some, there's sort of two main ways to do that. One is to be cast in a speaking role in a SAG-AFTRA signatory project. And the other way is if you're working as background on a SAG signatory project, you would be hired under a SAG-AFTRA covered spot, even though you're non-SAG, and that can help towards your eligibility to join the union. So now that we know that anyone can do background work, Belle is going to tell you a little bit about how you actually get that work and what roles we're specifically looking to cast for the film that's going to be here in Monmouth County.
Thank you, Nikita. Okay, so again, I'm Belle. I'm the casting director at Grant Wolfley Casting. Grant Wolfley Casting. And I will actually be the casting director of this film that we are filming in Monmouth County, Middletown area. So the movie, it's a high school movie musical, untitled. And basically what we're looking for is just people 18 and up, all types of people, all ethnic backgrounds, all body types, a lot of individuality, all gender identities, people with disabilities, to portray high school students and teachers and pedestrians and neighbors. And just to kind of reiterate what Nikita had said before, anyone can do it. You don't need theater or acting experience, and you don't have to be part of the union. We're going to be looking for non-union people too. And aside from our New Jersey project, we are also casting a lot of shows in New York City because we are based out of New York City. Some of the shows include And Just Like That, Billions, Boss, Hondo, Succession, and a few featured films that we're right now not allowed to say the titles of. But yeah, and in order to submit for our projects, there are several ways you can go about it. There are 3 ways that are free to submit, so you don't have to pay for anything. First one is going to our website, which is GWCNYC.com for all the New York City based projects, and that stands for Grant Wolfley Casting New York City. Or you can go to GWCIOL.com for our on location shoots outside of the city. Another way is our Instagram. We put a lot of our casting calls on there, and that's at GW Casting, or Facebook, which is at GWCNYC. And then the other free way is registering with our database. So you'll see all the projects that we're casting. And in order to get there, you'll want to go to gwci.app/talent. And then there are other ways you can look at our casting calls as well as casting calls for other companies. But these ways you do have to pay for because they're a third-party casting website that posts a lot of background roles. So you'll want to look into Backstage, Breakdown, Casting Networks. And yeah, I'll give more specific instructions on the New Jersey project specifically kind of closer to the end. And in order to get booked on a project,
I just actually wanted to interject a little bit real quick regarding a couple of points that Nikita and Belle brought up. So I wanted to reiterate that, again, you don't need prior acting experience to do background work. It's really not necessary. We do have some very featured roles that may require some non-verbal emotion, but a lot of background work, you're walking through scenes, you're being yourself on camera, sitting at a restaurant. Oh my gosh, jinx. Jinx. Or sitting in a classroom for the high school movie.
we've done a lot of restaurant scenes.
We've done a lot of restaurant scenes. Or it could be sitting in an auditorium or walking in the cafeteria, whatever the case may be, and you're just going to really try to relax and be yourself on camera. But the other thing I wanted to reiterate is the professionalism involved. Even though you don't need acting experience, we do assume that when you agree to a role, you're going to show up on time, you're going to be professional like any other job. But I also want to emphasize the how to submit aspect where you don't necessarily have to pay to submit. There are scams out there that want you to pay to submit for background work, and you should be wary of those. There are legitimate acting professional websites that you can subscribe to and find out about a whole huge list of casting notices, and those are legitimate, and those are the ones that Belle mentioned, like Backstage, like Breakdown, like Casting Networks. But there are a lot of scams out there, and you want to be very careful. So everything listed on Grant Wolfley Casting site, GWC NYC and GWCIOL, those listings are free. You can register for us for free at gwci.app. I know we have a lot of websites, sorry. But those are free. You should not pay to do background work. If you're professionally pursuing acting, you might want to consider subscribing to the professional acting websites to find out more information and get notices on professional acting positions as well as professional background positions. But that's something you want to do if you're really interested in pursuing that more full time. But if you're just interested in trying it out, you should not be paying to do it. And now Nikita is going to go a little bit more into the background booking process.
So this is just to be about kind of how we specifically as a company deal with booking background. So after you follow all of those instructions that Belle gave you for submitting for specific roles, the next step is to actually get booked for the work. So whatever channel you use to submit for work, we monitor all of them, and if you are right for the role that we're looking for, we'll reach out to you directly. It'll usually be via email or via text message, just because we've found so far that that's the quickest and most efficient way to get information out to everyone. And we're just going to check to make sure that you're still interested, that you're available for all the dates that are needed, to give you any updates if anything has changed since the postings we made. And mostly it's really important to just check your availability. When we are asking for people's availability for a shoot date, we don't have the opportunity to sort of guarantee a start or end time in advance. So we really are looking for people who are fully available for that said date and don't have any conflicts. Part of the whole professionalism thing and treating this like any other job is you can't just, cut out in the middle of the day if you feel like leaving, or if you have another engagement to get to. So it's really important that there are no conflicts when you do say that you are available for any given date. So once we confirm that you are indeed available for the dates needed, that's when we're going to start giving you more information as far as COVID testing for a project, where and when to go for that, a costume fitting if it's needed, where and when you would need to go, if there's anything you need to bring with you, for example, just, wearing the proper undergarments, or if it's a show that is a little more modern times, the wardrobe department might actually ask you to bring some pieces with you. And then we'll also let you know when we're going to be in touch with more information about the shoot date. We are not allowed to actually book you for the work until the day before the shoot date. All of these productions are governed by, the various labor unions for crew members and actors that all have rules regarding turnaround time, regarding breaks, and, work hours. So we just aren't able to communicate any of that information until the day before, because we need to know when filming wraps that day, because it dictates the call time and the start time for the next day, what scenes are able to be shot. Just all of confirming that is going to be the day before, at which point we usually book via email, and you'll get all of the information you need as far as what your check-in number might be for the day, any instructions as for what wardrobe to bring, if there's any restrictions, if you need to bring more than one outfit, if there's any props you need to bring, the general area of where we're shooting, if it's going to be interior or exterior, if production is providing any transportation. All of that good stuff will be in the booking email that we send you the day before the shoot date. Additionally, you'll be getting instructions on how to actually get your call time once filming wraps that day. And we'll give you a link to go to the website that once they wrap for the night, we're going to release that information, and you're going to find all of your information there as far as the address you need to report to the next day, what time you need to be there, and what you need to bring with you. And what you need to bring with you is not a lot of stuff, nothing too hard. It's going to be those wardrobe notes and any of those prop instructions that we included in your booking email. And it's going to be your original documents of your IDs that you're going to need to show for proof to fill out your federal I-9 form. And then probably something to just keep you occupied while you're waiting, where they're waiting for everyone to get ready before you go to set. There's going to be some downtime when you're sitting in the holding area. So it's always a good idea to bring a book, a magazine, some work you can get done. things like that, just to keep you busy while there's some downtime. But we don't usually recommend, bringing laptops or tablets or any valuables that you wouldn't want to have with you at all times. But yeah, so that's kind of what the booking process will be like. And now you're wondering, okay, you're booked for work. What's next? What's that going to be like? Melissa's going to tell you a little bit about what to expect once you're on set.
Hello. I do want to say, for anybody who switched over from YouTube to Facebook or Instagram, we had a lot of YouTube problems. I don't know what the issue is, but I don't think it's working on YouTube. So thank you for joining us if you've just joined us from YouTube to either our Facebook or Instagram live stream. We will be posting this full
Recorded.
Yes, the recorded live stream will be posted on YouTube once it's complete, so you can watch from the beginning at a later time. And sorry we were having issues. So, being on set, what to expect. I do want to actually piggyback on one thing that Nikita was saying. The project that we were shooting in New Jersey specifically is a modern day project. It takes place, 2023. But we do projects that take place in other time periods, both the future and the past. And for those projects, usually it requires everybody to attend a wardrobe fitting prior to filming. But that isn't every project. If you are not attending a wardrobe fitting, yes, you would need to bring your own clothes, wear your own clothes to set, and those would be the clothes that you appear on camera with. But if you're in a period show, a show that takes place in another time period, you will most likely go to a costume fitting before filming begins. In terms of being on set, I want to start by going over some terms that you're going to hear us refer to in our booking emails or when you're talking to casting, but also terms that you're going to hear on set. So the first one is call time. That's your start time or your end time. And you have to be on set or what's called the holding area and ready to work by that time. So what's holding? Holding is the designated area where the background performers hang out. They're supposed to report there at the beginning of their day to check in with the production assistant to confirm that they're there and start filling out their paperwork if necessary. And usually hang out in the holding area when you are not on set. Now, while you're on set, you're usually coordinated. If you're a background performer, you're being coordinated on set by either an AD or a PA. And an AD is the acronym for assistant director. There are several assistant directors. And production assistant or PA. There are also multiple production assistants on set. So again, they guide and coordinate the background on set and in holding.
The PAs are also going to be the people that you first meet when you get to holding.
Yeah.
They're going to check you in, get all your paperwork set up, all of that.
Yes, exactly. If you haven't checked in with the PA, they don't know you're there.
Very true.
Yes, very, very true. So check in.
Now, you've probably heard the term action. That's what they say when they want to start filming a scene. And usually a director will want to do several what's called takes of a scene. That's different shots of the scene, repeating it over and over again until they feel they've gotten it right. But what they say for background is background action. That's the verbal direction given on set to the background so they should start whatever movement they've been instructed to perform on set. Now, when they're done shooting a take, they'll say cut, which I think everybody's heard of. The verbal direction given to indicate we're going to finish shooting that take. We're done shooting that take. We might shoot it again or we might be done. If we want to shoot it again, they'll say back to one. That means they want you to go back to return to your starting position so they can shoot the scene again. Now, if they're done, they're done. They're satisfied with that take. They're satisfied with that shot, that scene. They're going to say check the gate. That means that the director is satisfied with the take of the shot and is prepared to move on. Now, at the end of the day, it'll be wrap. Now, that could refer to the end of the shoot day. It could be referring to actually the end of principal photography. But for most people, it's the end of the shoot day. It's the end of the day of filming, and they will shoot wrap, and you're done for the day, and you would check out again, return any props you've borrowed or whatever, and be able to go home. So those are the kind of terms you're going to hear the most. Now, filming could start very early in the morning. Filming could start at any time of the day, honestly. But when we talk about what's called a day shoot, we're talking about something starting very early in the morning. Now, something that's shooting like modern day might start 5, 6 a.m. A period project where you have to go through 2 hours of hair and makeup before you can go to set, they might call you in at 4 o'clock in the morning. So when we say early in the morning, we mean early. There's also night shoots. That literally means they're going to shoot all night. But you might not get called in at night. You might get called in the afternoon to get you ready to shoot all night. And it's usually night dependent and probably won't wrap until dawn. There's also something called a split call, which would start later in the morning. Might start mid or late morning. It might start early afternoon and shoot late into the night, but not necessarily all night. So when we ask people's availability, we really mean, are you available for that entire time period? Because we have no idea when we're going to begin. We usually know ahead of time if it's a day shoot or a night shoot, but we're not going to know, as Nikita pointed out, the exact time we start filming until they wrap the day before. And a typical day of filming can be very long. It can be 12 to 15 hours. Now, I would say normally it's more on the 12-hour side, but it can absolutely shoot. I've done projects that are shot for 16 hours. It's not impossible. The filming process just involves a lot of equipment setup for each shot scheduled for the day of filming, and that just takes a lot of time. Not to mention shooting a take after take until the director's satisfied that all the actors are performing in the way that they want them to perform. So that's why also it's so important that everybody be on time, because production wants to stay on schedule by completing the first shot of the day as soon as possible so they can move on to setting up the next shot. And in between shot setups, you may be led to the holding area to wait. So that's what Nikita said. You might want to bring a book because you may be doing a lot of waiting around for the next setup. But that's what makes the process so time-consuming, is all these equipment setups combined with also hoping people perform in the way they want them to perform, that the props all work the way they're supposed to work, that everything goes smoothly, and then often it doesn't.
And sometimes they even change locations in the middle of the day. So
Yes.
having to transport the entire crew and setup and stuff can also be pretty time-consuming.
So a couple of tips in terms of working on set. You will be expected to have any extra personal belongings that you bring to work to stay in the holding area when you go to set. Unless carrying a book bag is part of your prop on camera, they'll want you to leave it in holding. So it's best that you don't want to bring anything with you that you don't mind leaving separate from yourself. You have to be quiet on set. It's very important that everybody remains quiet on set so that you can hear the directions. So when they call action, everybody's ready, so the director can focus, so everybody who's working with the equipment can focus. So everybody should be quiet on set. You want to pay attention to the ADs and the PAs for directions and guidance. They're constantly issuing directions to the talent because there could be last-minute changes on what they want you to do. There are, of course, breaks during the day, but again, when you're on a break, you want to keep track of the time, because as soon as your break is over, they want you ready and back to work. There are snacks and meals provided by production. Usually there's what's called craft services, crafty. There's a craft table near set. Also, they break for lunch. Typically, they'll provide breakfast, and they call breakfast whatever the first meal of the day is. So if it's a night shoot, and it's, 7 o'clock at night, they're still going to call it breakfast. But they typically provide some type of breakfast and a lunch. They're rarely, when we're filming in Manhattan, sometimes they'll do what's called a walk-away lunch, and that's when both the crew and the background have to just take a break and get lunch on their own. But that is not the norm. The norm is production provides food, and we usually make people aware ahead of time if it's going to be what's called that walk-away lunch, where you got to go find some food on your own. Another thing we should address is COVID protocols. Back March 13th, it was Friday the 13th, March 13th, 2020, all production shut down because of the pandemic. when we started back up in August of 2020, the unions, the many unions that work in the film and television industry, got together and agreed on what is called the Return to Work Agreement. And it outlined a bunch of COVID safety protocols. That agreement has been revised for the past few years. It has recently been extended, so it's still operating through April 1st of 2023 currently. I don't know what's going to happen on April 2nd. But part of those agreements, there's different approaches productions can take, but there are certain rules that they all have to follow. And one of those is all productions require people not on camera to wear masks. So when you're not on camera, you have to wear a mask. And everybody who works on the production, especially on set, has to undergo COVID testing. Actually, everybody here today had to do COVID testing just to do this. So they take it very seriously. There are some productions that do require COVID-19 vaccinations to work on set. Not all productions do that. Currently, we only have one production that is doing that. The production that's going to be shooting in New Jersey is currently not doing that. They do not have a vaccine requirement. Of course, they encourage you to be vaccinated, and they would love for you to volunteer that information, but that's something between the background performer and the health and safety department assigned to the production. But the important thing to know is everybody is still expected to be COVID tested by the production, and everybody must wear a mask unless they're on camera.
And of course, if you test positive during any of those pre-employment tests, you would not be allowed to report to set for those days of work.
Correct. Another thing I think that comes up a lot is social media. We are currently streaming on social media. A lot of people want to know if they can post a picture of themselves in their costume or on set on one of their social media accounts. And the answer is usually no. No, you cannot. A lot of productions require you to fill out a non-disclosure agreement, also known as an NDA. They don't want anything spoiled. I mean, I think we're all very familiar with how locked down certain projects are, especially like Marvel projects. They don't want you to post things online that may spoil something for the upcoming season of TV or the feature film or whatever. So typically, the studios actually monitor social media looking for people spoiling things or people posting things and referencing an upcoming project. So you actually don't want to do that.
And I know I'm sure some people are like, yeah, sure, they'll never find out. But I promise you they do, because we have all at some point gotten a call from someone on production saying specifically, hey, this person posted this on their Instagram. Can you contact them and tell them to take it down?
Absolutely.
So it's real.
Happens all the time. It's a real thing.
And I would also just like to backtrack for a second and add that the COVID testing that is required of you is going to be provided by production, and you are going to be paid for coming to that. So we're not expecting you to do it on your own or, not get paid for it. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear as well.
Thank you, Belle. Yes, you get paid for COVID testing. You get paid for attending a fitting. And of course, you get paid for the workday.
So moving on to how
Yeah,
you get paid.
Yes.
The fun part.
The perfect segue.
Ayana, why don't you tell us all about how we get paid?
Absolutely. Don't mind if I do. Just give me a minute as I try to fix this.
Spotlight on Ayana.
Hello, everyone. Also, I just want to reiterate real quick, because I am monitoring the accounts. And I just want to say, if you're leaving a comment, or a question, we will get to you. So just bear with us. And if you're on Instagram, leave it in the comment section. That way we can easily locate it.
In the question box, you mean?
In the question box.
Yes.
Yes, sorry. Not the not the comment section, the question box. But I see you guys have a lot of great questions, and we will answer all of them. Okay, now to the part that everybody wants to know, how much are you gonna pay me?
Do we get paid?
Right. Do we get paid? Since Belle kind of left off with talking about you get paid for your COVID test, I do want to say that you do get $100 if you're a SAG member and $60 if you're non-SAG. $65 if you're non-SAG.
Oh, no, 60.
Yeah.
No, it's $60.
It's $60, y'all. We got it right. Okay, it's $60 if you for your COVID test if you're a non-SAG AFTRA member, and it's $100 if you're SAG. Okay. So yes, so obviously you do get paid for this. It's paid work like any other job. You are required to fill out important documentation, required paperwork, obviously. You have to present your valid identification to prove that you can work in the United States. And payments are usually in the form of a check. They're issued by a payroll company that's contracted by the production company. And the paperwork that you have to fill out is also known as a voucher. And a lot of productions require digital voucher systems. So you will fill out your paperwork, which is a combination of your time card, your I-9, where you present your valid ID. It can be an unexpired driver's license, unexpired passport, an unrestricted social, or a birth certificate. Those are the general ones that we accept. And yeah, so once after that, you will fill out your paperwork. Oh, your I-9, your W-4, so that applicable taxes are taken out. And there's other documentation sometimes that you will have to fill out, like other paperwork, such as like a non-disclosure agreement, also known as an NDA. And in addition to that, we always stress that you keep a copy of your voucher. You never know if you're going to need it, so we always tell everybody, keep a copy of that. You can locate your paperwork when we send you your booking details. So whenever you get your booking details, the digital voucher system, everything you need to know is in that email. And you will be able to, we'll give you steps. You will have a link there, and you will follow the link, and it will give you necessary steps in order to fill it out. Then you'll fill it out then. Once you submit your paperwork and everything, then you're good to go, and you'll get paid. How much you get paid. The rate for SAG, which we can say the rate for SAG. It's not
The rate for
necessary.
SAG is $187 for 8 hours. That's for regular background rate. And then non-SAG, it actually usually depends on where you're shooting in the country. But for the New Jersey shoot we have coming up, they are actually going to pay New York City minimum wage. So it's going to be $165 for 10 hours. When we say for 10 hours or for 8 hours or whatever, that means you're guaranteed that amount if you work from 1 to 10 hours. And then if you work over the hour guarantee, then it's going to be overtime.
Correct. And yeah, so if you do overtime, you're paid at the applicable rate. So that's really much it in terms of you getting paid and how much you get paid. For your check, for film and television, your check will be mailed out 2 to 3 weeks. So it takes about 2 to 3 weeks for you to get your check, but you will receive a check. And that is really much it, how you get paid, when you get it, required paperwork. As long as that's submitted, you're good to go. Now, I will throw it back to Belle, and she's going to finish reiterating how to submit specifically for this show. And I just want to say, most of you guys will be non-SAG AFTRA background performers. So that's what I
If you're coming
For
from the
the-
New Jersey
because it's
area.
local.
Yeah,
for
for
this,
this project
particular
specifically.
project. Yeah.
But yeah, Val, if you want to, I know we had some people that joined late, so they were asking questions specifically about this project. If you want to just reiterate all that.
Okay, so for this project, as I mentioned before, just in case you're joining late, we're, for the most part, basically just looking for people who are 18 and up, probably a large chunk to portray high school students. So you want to look young enough to play that, but be older than 18. And, we're looking for people to play teachers and parents and neighbors, pedestrians. So we're looking for everyone 18 and up. If you're younger than 18, just submit and include your age. That way we can reach out to you, when we have something within your age range. And to submit for this project specifically, the high school movie musical, you'll want to, again, look at kind of our casting notices that we had discussed before that would be posted on our Instagram page, which is GW Casting, our Facebook page, which is GWCNYC, but
And GWCIOL.
and GWCIOL. We're going to post it on both because we are kind of in between locations here. And also on our database, which is gwci.app/talent. So you'll want to register and go through the whole process, and then you'll see all the casting notices for our project, and just make sure you select this project specifically. And I believe it's on it as High School Movie Musical. On
Yes. I
Not to
think
be
so.
confused with High School Musical.
It has nothing to
It's
do
not
with High School Musical.
Nah.
It's better. No.
Also, I did just want to say too, for the URLs, I believe on some of our streams on Facebook and on the Spodcastle pages, there should be a little ticker tape at the bottom that just has the URLs for both of our websites. So that way you guys have it in front of you. You can go there and you can see a lot of this information also written down there. So you can reference all of the links.
Yes. And then also this will be all over our Facebook pages and Instagram as well, but more specifically to this project, if you want to submit, get your pens and pencils and papers ready to write this down. You'll want to email hsmovie@gwcnyc.com. Again, that's hsmovie@gwcnyc.com, and you'll want to put something in the subject line that's going to identify you as a New Jersey local. So you could say New Jersey local and then include your name, phone number, and photos, and your age if you're under 18 in the body of your email. And just for fun, maybe you can put Smodcast in your subject line.
Yeah. Say if you saw this live stream.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be fun. That would be you
Yeah.
watched it.
So, and also an important thing that I didn't mention before with our database is when you register for gwci.app/talent, make sure that you select Monmouth County as your employment area if you are submitting for this project.
And you are from the area.
And if you're from the area, because otherwise you might get all the New York City notices and that might be too far from you. But if you are in between locations, feel free to register as both. But just if you are local to Monmouth County, New Jersey, and you're submitting for this movie, don't forget to select Monmouth County as your employment area.
And I just wanted to add to that. Because our area, it's not that far from the city, you don't necessarily have to be from this area to be cast in the movie. We are just trying to give as much opportunity to all the local residents as possible. So if you are from the area, please put Monmouth County if you register. But if you're not from Monmouth County, please put whatever area you are near so we know where you are. But it doesn't mean you're not going to be considered for the film. It just means, we would provide transportation, usually from Manhattan, to get here. So be clear on where you're actually from. You don't have to just put Monmouth County because we're only going to cast from Monmouth County. That's not the case.
You can select more than one employment area as well. Obviously, don't check off all of them if they don't apply to you. But for example, if you're also willing to make the trek to the city, you can put NYC as your employment area as well as Monmouth County.
Yes, because we do have a lot of people where they just want to get casted. So they check off a different resident area, even though they're not from there. And then it's time to travel. And it's a whole bunch of issues when it's time to get COVID tested or end up not being available. So be, honest about where you are from or where you're willing to travel to, because that plays a part in terms of like the continuity in having you. So
And really just the convenience of
and the convenience.
where everything is going to be based.
Exactly.
You know,
Correct.
so.
So for this last section, we're not up to questions yet, but I did see a couple things come in on Instagram. A few people who are minors, teenagers, wanting to know about submission and how to get work for that. So Melissa's going to give a little more info about casting minors and what's required for that.
Sure. So we do cast minors. We do cast children, and that's anybody under 18. When I'm saying minors, that's anybody under 18. We do cast those roles for film and television. However, it's if the scene calls for it, because there's a lot of rules that we have to follow for anybody under the age of 18. Not only state laws, but also rules that are put out by SAG-AFTRA. So for New York projects and New Jersey projects, the rules are different. In both cases, if you're shooting either in New York or New Jersey, the child has to have a work permit. It's a very different process depending on if you're in New York or New Jersey. I'll briefly say in New Jersey, if a minor is working for 2 days or less, the permit can be obtained by the production. But if the minor is needed for more than 2 days, the parent of the minor has to get the permit. And that involves physically going somewhere. You have to either go to, if you're from New Jersey, your child's school district, or you have to go to, if you're not from New Jersey, the school district in which the project is filming. That's for New Jersey permits. New York permits are completely different. You can get them the first time online, and after that you can mail in for renewal. But either way, whether you're shooting in New York or New Jersey, the child needs to get some type of work permit to work. And again, while we were saying film and television projects can shoot 12, 15 hours, crazy hours, and start insanely early, like 4 a.m. or whatever. Actually, back in January, Belle was working on something that started at, what was it, midnight?
Yes.
It started at midnight. However,
Rough.
children's hours are limited by state law and SAG-AFTRA. So children cannot report to set at 4 a.m., for example, no matter what state you're in. Also, they can't work more than a certain amount of hours depending on their age. So there's a lot of restrictive protections for kids. I don't know that we necessarily need anyone under the age of 18 for the New Jersey project. We haven't gotten confirmation of that yet. So feel free to submit in case you are needed. We often need children, though, for other projects. One shooting in North Jersey and New York City, etc. So I don't want that to stop kids from submitting, but let me clarify. When I say kids submitting, I mean the parent should be submitting on behalf of their child. We should not be speaking directly to any children out there. Your parent should be submitting you. Because it's very important to note, a parent or guardian must be with any minor at all times. They have to take them to a costume fitting. They have to actually undergo COVID testing as well. And they have to be with them on set all day. You can't drop your kid off like it's school. You have to be with them all day on set with them. And that's for anyone under 18, including 17-year-olds. I know 17-year-olds, New York State law and New Jersey law allows them to work without a guardian, but not in film and television. In film and television, even 17-year-olds need a guardian on set with them. But again, we do cast minors all the time. So it's not like we can't use you. So please feel free to submit, but only with your parents' permission.
And just to add to that, I have seen a lot of 17-year-old submissions that included their date of birth, which is during
Helpful.
filming. So if you are going to turn 18 between, let's just say, March 1st and end of April, please include that, because then,
That's
we could
important
call
to know.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, once you turn 18, you're good to go.
Free to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't need a parent or guardian anymore.
See ya.
So I actually someone had a question still regarding the minor situation, just wanting to know if they should submit, which one is like better, to submit their son via email or should they register their son?
So I would say for minors submitting, the only potential complication on registering, because we get this question a lot on our help desk for our database, is when multiple people in a family want to work. Because when you register with us, you have to register with a phone number. Our database is phone-based for the most part. We can text and email people through the database. So you need a unique phone number for each person you want to register. So if you happen to have multiple children, or in case you want to register as well as your child, it might be easier for you to email to submit if you only have one phone number. Otherwise, both are great.
Alrighty. All right. So if we have more minor questions, we will be answering them. But right now, I guess we'll just open up the floor to any question.
Yeah, if you, Ayana, if you scroll through, if there's anything.
I scrolled up.
Way too far away. I can't see anything over there.
Yeah, but nothing right now we answered a lot of the questions already.
Okay.
But someone did say, for their COVID test, would they get paid every time they take a COVID test. Yes.
Yes.
You would get paid every single time you take a COVID test.
As long as it is a pre-employment test, meaning all you're doing is going to test, you will get paid for that test. However, if you are on a production that's going to require everyone also test on the day of work, that payment is sort of just encompassed into your whole being paid for the day of work. You're already there. So there wouldn't be an additional COVID test on top of that. It's only when you're testing before work on a different day, and testing is the only thing you're doing.
And typically testing is still, it has to happen 24 to 48 hours before your first day of work, whenever that day is. And then if you're working several days in a row, you're going to be in the cadence on set where they would test you on set. But let's say you work, I don't know, on a random Tuesday, and then maybe you come back again and work a week later, you would probably have to come back in for another pre-employment COVID test. So again, you would get paid for both tests.
Alrighty. Next, Instagram. You want to start from the beginning, Belle, or do you see anything?
So I'm testing. I'm looking back at some questions that was asked before, and I see a lot of questions just kind of regarding how will I know that you're posting for a role. So kind of just going back to what we mentioned, you'll want to follow us on all our social media platforms. And again, for Instagram, it's at GW Casting. Facebook, it's at GWCNYC. And our database is gwci.app/talent.
So when we post a role on gwci.app, our database, for example, which again is /talent for the login, if you have, for example, I'm not going to use the New Jersey project. I'll use a different project. We also do a show called The Gilded Age, which is currently on hiatus. But they shot some stuff in New York City. They shot stuff in Troy, New York. They shot stuff in Newport, Rhode Island. So when we put out a posting, we made sure to put in that posting exactly where we were shooting. And if you happen to be in our database but only registered for Rhode Island castings, then you only got the notifications if we were shooting in Rhode Island. So if we were shooting in Monmouth County and you are New York City based and not interested in shooting and working in Monmouth County, then you would only get our New York City based notifications. And those are usually sent via email. In terms if you want to be more proactive, that's when you want to do what Belle was suggesting, which is following us on social media, because we post all the time casting notices on Instagram and Facebook, as well as the other professional casting sites we mentioned, Casting Networks, Breakdown Services, and Backstage. But everything we do, we post on our database, and then we typically also post on Instagram and Facebook as well.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I just have someone else from Facebook. So they just said, is it a 1099 or a W-2? Not sure exactly.
So
can you get paid as a 1099?
You're not on a 1099. You're not an independent contractor. When you work as background work, you're considered an employee of that production. And they, as we said, contract a payroll company to handle the payroll services of all the background talent. And part of your voucher that you will fill out is a W-4 to have regular taxes taken out like you're just a regular employee, even though it's not a regular full-time job.
Correct.
And then let's say you're doing your tax. Let's say you work for background the very first time this year, and you're going to do your taxes, next year for 2023. You would receive a W-2 from the payroll company.
Yes.
And they would mail it to whatever address you shared with them in your voucher paperwork. So if you do move, you would need to notify that payroll company to change your address.
Correct. Yes. So it won't be as easy as just changing your address on the registration?
No, it would not.
Okay.
You would need to notify the payroll company that you're changing your address, because to be clear, we are not the payroll company.
Yeah.
We are just the casting company. We find the people, and then production figures out how to pay them.
Exactly, which is contracted by production.
I can hop in with a question from Instagram that I'm seeing. A few different people are asking if they've already sent in an email because they've seen our flyers or the casting notices that we've already posted. Should they email in again?
And get
or
a follow-up? I had another question about that.
I
long
would
do they hear
say
back?
probably the best thing is you don't have to send multiple emails unless you see specific casting notices as time goes on for a role that you're specifically a good fit for.
Or a specific date.
Or a specific date. Otherwise, I would just say if there's any information that you left out of your initial email, for example, let's say you didn't include pictures or you didn't put your phone number, you can just reply to that same email, keep it in the same chain. You don't need to send multiple emails.
Yes.
And then as far as how long it'll take to hear back, correct me if I'm wrong, this starts filming at the end of March?
Beginning of March.
Beginning of March. So we're quickly coming up on that time frame, but there are just, a lot of emails to submit through. We're still waiting on some more information from the production as far as, a schedule and who's needed what days. So it's not necessarily going to be an immediate outreach from us at this point. But as soon as we start getting more info, once Belle and her team have that information, then the outreach will begin and start getting back to you guys with specific dates if we can use you for the work.
And
Correct.
And just to add to that, as a project goes on, you can literally be called the day before the last day of filming.
True.
So once the dates have passed, I would say it's safe that if you didn't hear from us, obviously you aren't needed for the role, but I wouldn't give up hope until kind of
the end of the
Good to
project.
remember that it's not like we're trying to get everyone in on just the one first day of shooting. Like it will be for the length of the filming.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's true of all projects, whether you're submitting for like Succession is wraps this Saturday, the current season.
We hope so. But yes, as of right now.
Ayana's working on Succession right now. She's like,
Yes.
please, God, please wrap. But, they would literally still be calling people possibly Friday for Saturday's shoot. It's really till the very end. And also, the people who email in or register with us, we look at those people for future projects too. We are constantly looking back of, oh, I did this and this person was good, or this person submitted and I never got to use them on this, but let me call them for that.
Yeah, I also saw another question that just reminded me that was saying, is it more streamlined to kind of piggybacking off of what Ayana asked before, is just the app or just email? I would say, especially if you're interested in other background work in the future beyond just this one specific project, definitely register for our app. So we always have you to reach out to, so that way you can submit yourself for things that you like. Otherwise, I feel like if you only want to ever just do this project and then never do background work again, then I think just emailing into the project email will suffice.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And a lot of things, sometimes although we do submissions, a lot of it is first come, first serve basis in a lot of ways. Like, so obviously,
Stay on top of your emails and your
texts. Stay on top
texts.
of your emails and texts and things like that, because if we put out a posting, today, obviously the project hasn't started yet, but when we start filming, if we put out a posting on a Tuesday, we're going through that Tuesday, maybe early that Wednesday. So if you don't follow up until that Thursday, your chances of getting selected is more scarce. So we just ask that you follow up on your emails, follow up on your texts and everything if you're registered to our app. That's why I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, absolutely. The quick response is what we look for, because often when we put it out, production may want to see who we're casting. They may want to see pictures of everybody. So we're trying to get everybody's responses. Are you available? So we can know right away, and then show your pictures to production to get approval from the director. And then, it can happen real fast once we get into the actual checking people's avail and booking process.
Exactly. I saw another comment or a question come up on Instagram asking about when you register on GWCI.app/talent, it's going to ask you to upload some photos, and someone was asking, what are we looking for in those photos? And that's a really great question. The same goes for any email submission that you're going to do for photos, the things that we love. It doesn't need to be any sort of professionally taken headshot. We actually prefer if you have a candid photo or a selfie, so we can actually see what you look like. Full body shots are great. Just close-ups are great. But the really important things are just, we want to make sure we can see you. Make sure you are visible in those photos that you send to us. Don't have sunglasses on. Don't have a hat on. Don't have masks on.
No
Don't use
filters.
filters. Don't edit to beyond recognition. Like the whole part of background casting is, casting based on look. We want to know what you're actually going to look like when you show up to set. So selfies, candid photos, and just making sure we can clearly see your face and making sure that they are updated and current to your look. Like if you just got your hair cut yesterday and now you are female identifying and you have a bob and it's bright red, but the photos that you sent to us were from before your haircut and you have long brown hair, like send us the photos that actually show what your hair looks like now.
Yeah, exactly. And when we are casting people, we're looking for, as Belle said before, all types. So we are looking for real people. This isn't LA. This isn't a Michael Bay movie.
Shade.
Sorry. Shade to LA. We are New York.
Palm
based.
trees all
But
the way.
we are looking for real people. We're not looking for just models or anything like that. We want all types of people. So please don't hide behind filters.
Yeah, we want
No.
authenticity.
Yes,
Yeah.
we want to see what you look like.
We work with Martin Scorsese a lot, and there's one thing he hates more than anything else. It's a filter.
But yes, we are casting for all types. There was a question here asking, are you looking for transgender actresses?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, it goes back to kind of what we're saying. We want people to be themselves. Like, especially for this film, I know the directors really wanted to show everyone's personalities as much as they
Your
could.
individual
they wanted to
style,
show the
all of that.
individuality, as well as representing, like,
What high school is, right?
Yeah, what high
Like-
school is in 2023.
yeah, they want to represent a very diverse high school experience where you are seeing all types of people, all identities, all gender identities, ethnicity, backgrounds, whatever.
Also,
Everything.
if you longboard
Oh yeah,
and can do freestyle longboarding,
let Belle
let
know.
us know.
Put it in your email.
Yes.
Yes.
Send videos.
And I should say it's not just for we have a lot of projects that they want to represent all different types of people. There's a lot of projects where we're looking always for LGBTQ plus representation, as well as diversity and ethnic background, as well as diversity and ability. Like sometimes they really want us to feature people who are wheelchair users, or perhaps people who have the assistance of a seeing eye dog, a service animal. They really want to represent reality more and more in the industry.
I've also had directors just like it when we can bring people and say, oh, I thought this would be cool for the scene.
Yeah.
So even if we're not posing for it and you just want to show who you are, not too much, but but if you do have something, you're very proud of, or a talent, really, the main thing is talent that you can show and not things that you have to like say and speak.
Like singing or something.
The background performance is nonverbal performance. So, but they love people who have nonverbal talents. Should we put it that way?
Sure.
Yeah, like
that works.
Even juggling, right?
Yeah.
Like
Juggling, skateboarding,
yeah,
fire breathing we've had before.
literally.
we literally had fire
literally.
Although,
we always
just so everybody knows, fire breathing is actually stunt work. SAG would want me to tell you. But other things, just riding through the scene on your skateboard is.
Are there any other
Knowing how to ride a bike.
last minute questions that people want to ask?
Yeah, we do have to
Yeah,
wrap
we're
up in
gonna
a
wrap
couple minutes
up now.
This is like right at the top.
Let's see.
While they're looking for a question. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I'm so sorry we had so much problems with YouTube Live. This is actually the first live stream Grant Wolfley Casting has ever done. So
Exciting.
I guess it's exciting that only one thing didn't work.
That's a good track record so
Yeah.
far.
I mean, we're definitely going to try YouTube Live again. Hopefully it'll be more successful next time. And again, we will be uploading the full live recording to YouTube, so people who missed the beginning can watch it from the beginning, because we do answer. We cover a lot of topics.
Yeah.
Did we have another question? Or are we good?
Not really.
think we're
Since it's
good.
a musical, is there extra pay for dancers?
So there is Bernie Telsey Casting is handling principal dancers and speaking roles, as well as the choreographer. I'm not actually entirely sure who's spearheading the principal dancer search.
Moral of the story, not us.
It's not
But
us.
yeah, it's not us. However, there is a category called background special ability dancers. So those are like non-professional dancers. That's when you just might be asked to move to the music without any specific choreography. And yeah, there are higher rates for that within background. So there's general background, there's special ability background, there is stand-in, there is photo double. There's a couple different scales when you get into special talents. And then the whole other realm is principal, which is speaking roles, choreographed dancers, singers, stunt work. All that is a different contract, higher pay, and on this particular project, not coming for us. However, for future reference, we do principal dancer casting on other projects. So if you want to be considered for future work, please feel free to submit a note if you happen to be a professional dancer.
Yes. Now there is a lot of questions, but a lot of questions that we see we answered already. So again, you can watch this live stream on our YouTube page. We're also going to try and save this on our Instagram. So Instagram, you guys can see it as well. And it'll also be posted on our Facebook. So our YouTube again is Grant Whiffley Casting Inc.
Yep.
Okay. Our Instagram is at GWC.
Casting.
GW
Casting.
GW Casting. Okay. And our Facebook is Grant Whiffley Casting. So you can watch.
Actually, I think our Facebook is GWC NYC.
Yeah,
I don't
it
have it
is.
written down.
It's GWC NYC, and honestly,
Sorry. I didn't mean to confuse, but I know if you type it in, it pops up.
You can search it.
You
It'll
can
work.
search it. It'll
And
pop up.
there's links to our social from our main website, gwcnyc.com.
That too.
And gwciol.com.
But just
Correct.
submit with your photos, and if you have any more questions, email the questions. We're all here. I mean, we want to get you on set, and if you have questions, we're gonna answer them. So, if it wasn't covered here, just submit.
Yes, submit. And seriously, this is probably the most in-depth informational that we ever done. So
Well, yeah, it's certainly the only live stream we've done. This
Yeah.
is sort of the information we give out when we do a physical live in-person open call, which we haven't been able to do since
COVID.
I think like
COVID.
2019 was the last
Yeah.
one we did. Hopefully we'll be able to do those again in the future. But this, I think, went pretty well. I mean, despite the
technical
YouTube fail.
difference.
So we might try to do another live stream again. And if we do, obviously, we will put out the word before we start. And, but thank you, everybody who joined us. And again, we will be uploading the recording. Somebody will tell me how to do that. Somebody who works here who's filming it.
On all three platforms.
And thanks to Spodcastle for hosting us and
Yes,
helping us
thank
out.
you.
Making my dreams come true.
Shout out.
here. And we'll make your dreams come true.
So submit.
So there we go.
Well,
Thank
thank you,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
for tuning in.
Bye.